Well, tomorrow the Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission is going to be holding their hearing. They're going to be questioning the Moody's largest shareholder, Warren Buffett, and also the CEO, Raymond McDaniel, about the role of credit rating agencies during this crisis. My next guest has a contrarian view on the subject, saying that we may be demonizing these agencies. Claire Hill is a distinguished research fellow and professor at the University of Minnesota Law School, joining us this morning from there. And Professor, great to have you with us. And I know there's a lot of questions always about the credit rating agencies. You say we may be demonizing them, but they've been the cause in some ways of other crises in the past, and they haven't changed, it seems.
Well, there's no question they do a very bad job sometimes. There's no question that they get totally misled. Where I take issue, though, is when people say, well, we relied. After a certain point, isn't it fool me twice, shame on me? So here's people saying, oh, look how they screwed up in Enron. And then after that, oh, look how they screwed up with the subprime crisis. The government may be doing things that encourage or require effectively people to use the rating agencies, but it never said that people can't do their own credit analysis, and all the evidence has shown people for some time that they should have been doing that.
Right, and certainly, those that had got it right in the subprime mortgage market said that they didn't rely on the credit rating agencies. They didn't believe in those ratings. But still, it begs the question, if those are unreliable, then why even have these rating agencies at all? I mean, there needs to be substantial reform then.
Oh, absolutely. And the case for having them around is not great. The problem is that if you just try to get rid of them, how do you do that? If you write them out of the legislation, again, people can still go to them. And my concern is that if you don't do things to get more of the agencies, more different agencies into the forefront, to get people no longer be able to say to the markets, we're using S&P and Moody's and Fitch because that's what we've always done, then you're going to have more stickiness than we've seen thus far.
Well, what legislation right now, Claire, what looks good to you right now?
I like the FRANKEN amendment. I think it's a really good approach because basically, even though even there you're not prohibiting people from getting a second rating from S&P, Moody's, and Fitch, if they want to, they're going to have to get a first rating. Seems hard to imagine that the investor board is going to be choosing Moody's and S&P and Fitch in the normal course. And what are investors going to say? Oh, we relied on S&P even though the investor board chosen rating was much lower? They can't do that with a straight face, and that's what we need.
Okay, but you also mentioned, so we need that, but you also mentioned, though, that we may have to increase the pool of the rating agencies. I mean, how difficult would that be? It's been for so long, the three guys, Fitch, Moody's, and S&P.
Well, we made some inroads towards that after Enron. There was enormous public pressure and changes in laws, which pushed the SEC to designate more NRSROs. I would expect that trend to continue, especially when you have the demand there. It's one of these, if you build it, they will come. If you build a demand, if you sort of have a board which will assign ratings business to new agencies, one might expect that these new agencies will come into existence and become more respected and known.
Okay. All right. Well, Claire, before I leave you, though, I want to ask you, aside from the reform of the rating agencies, Buffett is going to be speaking. That's going to be the highlight of the hearing there. Is there anything that you expect to learn from his testimony? What do you want to hear from him?
Well, I mean, there may be some more kind of gotcha moments with respect to people generally at the hearing, and with respect to him, it'll be interesting to know what his thought process is. He's, of course, in a difficult situation, being a big shareholder, and I don't know what his thought process is. I can't imagine what he can say that is both honest and doesn't acknowledge that something is fundamentally wrong.